Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. It's Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. Today, OpenAI pulls the plug on Sora, Arm jumps into selling its own data center CPU, and a judge presses the Pentagon over an Anthropic security threat label. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready, let's do it.
We're starting with the biggest one. The Associated Press reported on March 24th that OpenAI is shutting down Sora, its viral AI video social app. What happened?
OpenAI says it's closing the Sora social video app amid rising concerns about realistic deepfakes, non-consensual content, and intellectual property issues. They also said they'll share details on how users can preserve what they created, so it's not just gone tomorrow, but the product is being wound down.
Are they exiting video generation entirely or just the social app?
The reporting frames it as OpenAI exiting the video generation business and shifting priorities. That's notable because Sora wasn't just a model demo anymore, it was a distribution channel. Shutting the app removes virality, which also removes a lot of risk and a lot of feedback data.
AP mentioned Disney too. What was that about?
Disney said it respects OpenAI's decision. That's a small line with big subtext. Studios care intensely about rights management, likeness, and provenance. If the biggest creative IP holders are signaling good call, it suggests the compliance and liability burden was getting heavy, fast. Also, pour one out for everyone's Sora cinematic hamster reels.
Staying on the industry shakeups, Wired reported on March 24th that Arm is going beyond licensing and will produce and sell its own data center CPU for agentic AI workloads. What's Arm actually launching?
Arm says it will sell a server chip called the Arm A.G.I CPU, aimed at running agentic AI tasks in data centers. They say it's fabricated by TSMC on a 3-nanometer process, with full production availability expected in the second half of 2026.
Arm selling chips directly is a big shift. Who's buying?
Arm says Meta is the first major customer, and that OpenAI, SAP, Cerebras, Cloudflare, SK Telecom, and Rebellions have agreed to buy the chip. That's a pretty loud vote of confidence, and it also quietly puts Arm in a more competitive relationship with some of its own ecosystem partners.
Agentic AI can mean everything and nothing. What should listeners picture?
Think lots of tool calls, memory reads and writes, retrieval, orchestration, more like a busy office workflow than a single big matrix multiply. If Arm is optimizing for that, the bet is that the next bottleneck is system-level efficiency, moving data, scheduling, and latency. It's like Arm looked at the data center and said, fine, I'll do it myself.
Now to policy and safety. The Associated Press reported on March 24th that a U.S. District Judge, Rita Lynn, questioned the Pentagon's motives for labeling Anthropic a supply chain risk. What's the dispute?
Anthropic is fighting a Pentagon designation that labels it a security threat or supply chain risk. The dispute stems from Anthropic's attempts to restrict certain military uses of its AI, including fully autonomous weapons and surveillance of Americans. Anthropic is asking for emergency relief to pause or roll back that designation while the lawsuit plays out.
What did the judge seem skeptical about?
AP says Judge Lynn repeatedly questioned the Pentagon's rationale. In plain terms, the court appears to be probing whether this is a genuine security concern or retaliation dressed up as procurement language because Anthropic tried to set red lines.
If Anthropic wins even partially, what changes?
It could set a precedent. AI vendors might be able to impose use restrictions without being penalized through national security labels. And if the Pentagon holds firm, it signals the opposite, that no on certain use cases can come with business consequences. Either way, it's a very expensive argument about who gets to define responsible.
All right, a quick lap through 3 more updates. First, Windows. IT Pro reported on March 23rd that Microsoft will roll back unnecessary Copilot entry points in Windows 11. What's being removed?
Microsoft says it's reducing where Copilot shows up across Windows 11 and focusing integration where it's most meaningful. The rollback starts with apps like Snipping Tool, Photos, Widgets, and Notepad. It reads like a response to customer pushback. Less AI everywhere, more AI where it earns its keep.
On the philanthropy side, the Associated Press reported on March 24th that the OpenAI Foundation is pledging $1 billion in grants. Where is that money going?
AP says the OpenAI Foundation plans to grant $1 billion over the next year, supporting life science and health research, plus efforts to mitigate impacts on jobs, the economy, and children's mental health. It also spotlights the nonprofit mission running alongside OpenAI's commercial expansion, two gears turning at once.
And Apple, Tom's Guide reported on March 24th that WWDC 2026 is set for June 8th. Any signals in how Apple's framing this?
Yes. Coverage notes Apple's materials emphasize AI advancements and new developer tools. So expectations are rising for a clearer AI direction across Apple's platforms ahead of fall hardware. It's the annual moment where Apple says politely, developers, assemble.
Let's land this. OpenAI is shutting down Sora's social video app. Arm is moving into selling its own server CPU for agentic AI, and a federal judge is pressing the Pentagon on its Anthropic supply chain risk label.
The common thread is control. Control of distribution, control of compute, and control of how AI can be used. The market's maturing, and the fights are shifting from demos to governance and infrastructure.
If this helped you stay sharp, send it to a coworker who lives in tabs and meetings. They'll thank you. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
See you then.